My name is
Aqua Teen Hunger Force. It's a staple of adult animation. It defies all logic. It's funny as hell. It's iconic as sliced bread, all because the show creators Matt Malero and Dave Willis opted to use the bare minimum amount of animation and focus solely on the writing. What they delivered is what I call a surrealist comedy spectacle. A milkshake, a wad of meat, and a french fry box causing ruckus in the state of New Jersey? Finally, a show besides The Sopranos that I can relate to. I haven't finished it. Besides that, while the show is non-linear, it doesn't really follow that much continuity. One thing that is apparent throughout this series is that the characters die a lot. I took it upon myself to do the research, do the work, and I've calculated and examined every character death in these 12 seasons, 2 movies, singular game, and short form content. And that's what this video is about. I will be covering every single death in Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Now hold on, because I'm only doing the deaths of the main cast, not random background characters or side characters. Another thing, to make me stand out from the rest, I will also morally rank these deaths. What I mean is, I will look at these deaths and see if they were justified or if it was someone being unlucky at the wrong place in the wrong time. Let's get into this with Season 1. The first recorded death comes from Season 1, Episode 3, Bus of the Undead. The death in question is Carl, being bounded by spiderwebs from the Moth Monster Man. Moth Monster Man explains that he has to lay his eggs so he can repopulate. He decided to lay his eggs inside of Carl, and he's waiting for them to hatch. Now, realistically, he would have died from the eggs hatching within inside of him, so I'll chalk this as an unjustified death because he didn't do anything to warrant this. The next set of deaths comes from Carl and Shake in the episode Balloonenstein. A mysterious black hole sucks up Frylock and Carl. They get sent to a dimension while Carl is disfigured and Frylock is, he's fine. While they were gone, Shake put Meatwad in a drying machine and then became electrically static and all that. Whatever. In an attempt to remove this, Meatwad rubs a rubber balloon on him that causes it to expand and unleash its own electric shock. Hijinks ensue, yada yada. Meatwad comes back enlarged and he crushed Shake in the pool. Before that, while Carl was relaxing poolside with his hand in the pool, Meatwad came over and jumped inside the pool, therefore electrocuting him, so he's probably dead. Justified death for Shake for causing this and not helping, and leaving Meatwad in a dryer. Unjustified for Carl. Shake destroys Meatwad's old dolls, so Frolic gets him a new doll. Only problem is, he is a cheap bastard and buys him a Happy Time Harry, who is the definition of a doomer male. In the end, Shake decides to throw him off a cliff so he can become a Highlander. This idea gets to Shake, but he should have watched the movie first, instead of assuming. He later comes back wielding a sword, but lightning strikes him and he falls over, presumably dead. Now, even though Shake caused this to happen, I don't think he really deserved to die. I mean, if Frolic wasn't so cheap and just bought the Jiggle Billy, this would have been avoided, so unjustified. Shake goes insane when he thought he lost his PDA, even going as far as blowing up Carl's pool, but it was later revealed that he never had one, and this guy, Romulux, this blue guy, he just gives him his old one. Carl is shown to be on the phone for his pool insurance, but they don't really cover exploded pools, and after Shake ziplines into his window, he decided to, in the words of Playboy Cardi, so I'm going to presume that he died because he doesn't respond back at all. Unjustified. Master Shake gets Meatwad a new pet bunny, but it's a snake instead that eats Meatwad than Shake. Frylock uses his eye lasers to blow up the snake, but kills them in the process. To grief with the loss of his roommates and best friends, he hangs out with the wrong crowd. Living this new lifestyle made him kill Carl, while he was burning down the house, their zombie forms come back and tell Frolic that it's his fault, and he denies it. But it was revealed to be a simulation. Also, Frolic sort of dies, but he was still alive after being shot with a gun. Either way, Carl and Meatwad's deaths were, even though they're fake, unjustified. Shake, well, he deserved it. Frolic builds a super high-tech, environmentally friendly toilet that ends up killing Carl, leaving him as a head. After many attempts, they settle with leaving him as a head on a RC dump truck. As for Shake, well, Frolic made a mech suit for Carl, but decided against it because they know he would kill them. So Meatwad wears it and blows up Shake. I'd say both are unjustified because Shake did nothing wrong and Carl was just trying to help. Willie Nelson, the monster, comes out the attic. Shake teaches him how to be scary. But Willie Nelson is a dweeb, so he's not scary. However, Willie Nelson is indeed scary because he rips off Carl's arms for some juice. I feel like even though he's not dead, you can see that he's pretty much dead. Because no way he's surviving this. So this death is kind of unjustified because he was trying to chill, but he got involved with this prank, but it wasn't really his idea. He was just trying to follow along with Meatwad, so it's not his fault. Unjustified. Shake finds a haunting and cursed sandwich. Simple rule. If he eats it, all of it, then he dies. He eats it all and dies. Technically, he didn't eat the sun-dried tomatoes, but he was given free brain surgery, so yeah, he's dead. Justified because he shouldn't have ate the sandwich. Shake uses Carl's car for a demolition derby, which in turn ruins Carl's car, so he donates it to charity, and it goes to Meatwad. In the end, Shake attaches a giant jet engine to the car, which sucks up Carl's rented car. After Shake lays his business down to Carl, his head explodes. Unjustified, he did nothing wrong. Carl gets a new wig so he can score with the ladies. This wig later turns out to be a clown-infested virus hairpiece, whatever. Carl is now a clown. Frylock freezes him to find a cure. He never really did find one, so one time in the future, distant future, Carl falls over and shatters into pieces, justified for wearing the wig. The gang tries to have a nice, wholesome, peaceful Thanksgiving dinner with Carl, but a robot turkey ruins everything. And when the massive turkey army comes to Carl's house and sees him munching down on a turkey leg, they kill him. Unjustified. It's literally titled The. Frolic decides to move out the house and live by himself because Shake is a annoying fuck-up. Yet somehow even Carl is affected by this because of this new lifestyle that Shake decided to adopt. Carl gets styrofoam poisoning and is rushed to the hospital. The ambulance, they just leave him there. So, high chance he's most definitely dead. And if he is, unjustified. Meatwad gets a new video game, Video Ouija. He can talk to dead people. Shake devises a plan to scare Meatwad by killing himself to haunt him in the game. But Meatwad, he doesn't want to play the game anymore, so rip. They try to use a chicken witch doctor to bring him back, but it doesn't work. Frolic tries his luck to resurrect Shake, but he only spawns Ultra Mega Death Chicken, who crushes Carl. Very tragic. Unjustified death for Carl, who tried to help. Justified for Shake for doing this dumb shit. Frolic invents a shrink ray. Meatwad and Shake misuse the shrink ray, causing them to lose Froloc's chip. He plans to shrink himself down, going to Meatwad to retrieve this chip, but Shake abuses his control with the ray and shrinks down everyone. They leave his body because they controlled him from the inside, but since Meatwad forgot about them, they blew his eyeballs to get out, so justified death. Meatwad falls for a billboard that supposedly has the face of Gee Whiz on the cover. This results in Meatwad being pregnant. Shut up, we're moving on. In the end, Meatwad gives birth to spiders. And with the amount that pours out of him, yeah, there's no way he survived that. Also, Carl gets shot by Ted Nugent because he stepped outside for a second and exploded. Now, this is unjustified for both parties. Meatwad was just a host and Carl was just a fan. Shake buys the 2004 equivalent of the Metaverse headset or Apple Vision. However, all the upgrades are starting to become annoying, and this one upgrade is oh my. The final upgrade is the Intelligence Helmet. The intelligence of a 4-year-old. But hey, it's better than nothing. It works in the end, but yeah, it's still a 4-year-old, so it's swimming time. And Carl follows it because, Diddy blood activities. Shake deserves his death because he kept buying the stupid shit. But Carl, man, he was trying to goon in peace, so his death, unjustified. Frylock makes a bet with Carl that Meatwad can lose weight the right way, while he loses weight using South Bronx Paradise candy bars. Turns out it's actually South Bronx Parasite, which is a nesting pot full of larvae that's feeding on his flesh. During the weigh-in, Shake wants to win the competition, even though he was never a part of this little bet to begin with, so he sticks a vacuum in his straw and it sucks out all of his innards to win. He was never a part of this, so I don't know why he did any of this. And in the end, a gigantic parasite bursts out of Carl and weighs his skin sack suit, thus winning the bet. Unjustified for Shake because he just wanted to be included. I would say it was justified for Carl, but he was wagered by Frylock to do the bet, so not really his fault. Unjustified for both. The gang goes on vacation, leaving Carl by himself. It is revealed that Carl is very lonely without the Aqua team, so to spice up the night, he calls a sex hotline. But this activity decides to activate the Aqua team's home defense system to snitch on Carl. Later, Carl walks into Frylock's room and sees a suspicious looking hole, and then he gets skinned alive. When the gang comes home, the same thing happens to Shake. Then Rudy shoots and kills both Shake and Carl. Unjustified on both parts because Carl was just lonely and Shake was just trolled by Meatwad. Season 4, Episode 1, Dirtfoot. After watching a porno with his friend Meatwad while holding hands, Shake gets the idea that if he hurts himself, he'll get laid. This leads him to having a flat inside an old abandoned well with Dirtfoot, who is gay. After being exposed as gay and being kicked out by his peers, an old woman comes to tell them that she killed Dirtfoot with her swords. So Shake cuts himself in half to prove that he's straight. Yeah, he's straight dead. Justified because he wanted to follow porno logic. Shake becomes a sponsor for Boost Mobile. Frylock is displeased that he sold them out, so he devises a plan to get rid of the phone. It works, but Shake signs another deal. But they dealt with it as well. In the end, Shake says that the phone is a piece of crap, then he gets jumped by a group of Boost Mobile phones. Even though it's not implied that he's dead, the stab wounds he would have suffered definitely would have killed him. Justified death. In this episode, or if you can call it that, Shake is showing outtakes and deleted scenes from the Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie. One scene involves Carl shoving a broomstick up his ass, which was real. So for his revenge, Carl blows Shake's cuphead smooth off. Justified for making Carl shove a broom up his ass. Frylock gets cancer, but he doesn't die. The gang is in fact heartbroken about this. So for the first time, Shake does something selfless. He straps himself to a rocket in an attempt to blow up the sun. It did not work. Unjustified, as this is the first time his death was because he was trying to help. Shake and Meatwad try to make a mucus man, but it's not working as planned. So Shake buys an atomic grill, but that doesn't really help this case now, does it? Since Shake refused to turn off the grill, it causes a global warming event and floods the earth. And the crazy thing about this is Mucus Man comes to life because of it. So he enslaves the planet, ruling Meatwad as king, and when Carl tried to fight back, he got congested. Presuming this is suffocation, he is dead. Unjustified. What started out as a clip show turned into something else when the gang is being hounded down by Dan from Grim Reaper Gutters. He won't leave until he makes a sale, so they need a plan. They call over Carl, using adult film star Tara Patrick as bait. He buys it. While trying to get the door open, Dan keeps haggling about gutters, and gutters, and gutters. And after a firm and strong no, he just kills Carl. He's just dead. Frylock gives in, buys the gutters, and then Shake makes a joke about bridges in New York, which makes Meatwad pull out a gun and then he shoots himself. Unjustified. Carl is visited by the spirit or ghost of NFL player Bart Oates. Bart makes him do good deeds so he can repent for his crimes, which leads to the final confrontation at Linda Hamilton's house. Okay, so apparently Bart was sent from the future to kill Linda before she stars as Sarah Connor in The Terminator. Carl refuses, and in the next scene he is shot and presumably killed by a BB. Now it's either implied or shown that Bart told Shake to shoot Carl with the BB because he refused to help, or Shake was just doing it by himself. Either way, it's unjustified. Now, before getting into the actual season of Season 5, let's get into the Lost Band episode, Boston. In this episode, Shake tries to auction off Meatwad, but no one wants to buy him. No one wants to buy a wad of meat. So they go to Boston to promote him. When Paul Revere takes them to Ben Franklin so they can use Meatwad for electricity, the patrons mistake Meatwad as a bomb and chase the gang back to Jersey. Shake spends the money on an oversized light bright, so Frylock calls the cops to make it worse than it is. Carl gets mistaken for a bomb, so he dies, and Shake was an actual bomb, he dies as well. Either way, it doesn't really count as a lost episode, whatever, unjustified. Markula kidnaps the gang because they refuse to pay rent, but they refuse to pay him because he won't fix the gas leak. Almost like real life, Carl helps the gang by bringing garlic champagne, but gets grabbed by Paul. Paul gives Carl a big hug during couple skates and his head just pops off. Unjustified. Carl buys a machine to enhance his Johnson. However, the major side effects from this is radioactive stool, which resurrects Meatwad's dead pets. Hold on. Before I continue, Carl does call about these issues. They bring someone over to tranquilize him and fly him off to someplace. He never came back after this, so he's presumed dead. Anyway, Meatwad's pets explain that this zombie disease can be spread by any bodily contact, sex being one of them. And since Shake is the sex master he is, he takes him up on that offer and is indeed infected. They have a protocol for this as well, so Shake gets picked up by the gay zombie ape bus, whatever. As Meatwad and Frylock try to celebrate by smoking, they forget about the gas leak, and you can figure out the rest. Unjustified. Frylock tries to befriend a group of God-loving fruits, who later turned out to be an insane group of people. After Bert rages out because he can't relapse and drink alcohol, he trashes the house, and Shake takes part too. To throw them off, Frylock tells an innocent lie to Mortimer and says that Shake is filled with drugs. They believe it and kill him for the bliss. If he wasn't dead from that, Meatwad ignites the house on fire. Justified death because Shake was being an ass for no reason. Season 6, Episode 1, Gene E. The gang finds a Gene E in a bottle who will grant them any wish, but all he can do is make people invisible, so he's worthless. Well, not really, because Carl wasn't turned invisible, but he was shrunken down. He was turned into a genie. But Shake's negligence leads to Carl being flushed away, and when they found him incapacitated in the sewer, they refused to give him CPR, so he was tossed aside. And then ants come by, steal his body, and will probably eat him later, so he's dead unjustified. Carl has a creature thing in his pool that is alive and does eat everything in sight. This is perfect for Pussy and Bobby, who needs to dispose of mob evidence, but bad for everyone else. They clean the pool, kill the monster, supposedly, and they deal with the mob. However, the jet engine or jet from the pool is a bit pleasurable, so Carl cracks his pool. It turns out that the creature that they killed was a woman, and she pleasures Carl as he didn't kill her people, but she needed him to plant her eggs, which makes Carl explode. And Frylock and Meatwad. Shake, feeling left out, goes to wake up both Bobby and pussy just to brag about the sex he never had, and that results to him being killed. First episode where the entire cast dies, so justified for Carl and Shake for messing with the mob and purposely becoming a breeding ground, unjustified for Farlock and Meatwad. Farlock builds a time machine that he swears he thinks that works, but it only goes to Carl's house. But these giant cockroach men are very annoying, so the exterminator decides to just carpet bomb them. Shake and Farlock get the memo and run away as fast as possible, but Meatwad didn't really pick up on that cue. He got bombed unjustified. Drew Baca, the Wookiee bassist for the Star Trek tribute band, wants to blow up the moon. Carl decides to mess around with him and moon him, which causes Drew to transform and promptly kill him. I'd say it's justified by his defense. Drew was mowing his lawn without his permission or his consent, so Carl was trying to defend his home. Unjustified. Frylock obsesses over this computer repair woman with a dump truck ass. This leads to him being a creep, killing her boyfriend, and then wearing his reconstructed, decomposed body as a suit to marry her. But she reveals that she's a chud, and retreats to the sewer. As Frylock tries to explain this to his roommates, Shake tries his luck, but he should have minded his business. Now this was unjustified on his part because he just wanted to make Frylock jealous. Season 7 with episode 1, a PE Christmas. Shake steals Flavor Flav's and Chuck D's identity to release a Public Enemy Christmas album. During this whole plan, he managed to be invaded by space eels that were in Chuck D's dumpster. And they shoot out of him violently and he dies. Either way, justified, he deserved it. After being baited by Frylock to destroy his pinball machine that should totally exist in real life, the gang travels to Death Island to find more pinball balls, but get sidetracked. Then the island gets attacked by a giant baby that lasers Shake to death, unjustified. Meatwad claims that there's a monster in his closet. At first, everyone doesn't believe him, but it's revealed that the monster was his pet gerbil, who is a demon. After sending the demon to Shake's body to try and kill him, Exorcist style, they realize they're on the ground floor. That won't cut it. So they go to the tallest hotel in New Jersey and throw him out the window. But he returns with Carl's head on a plate, unjustified because what did he do? After causing a massive traffic accident, Shake now has an angel to force him to do good deeds, or he'll get sent to hell. Shake tries to order a demon to cast the angel away, but the demon is just some rebellious teen who likes the insane clown posse. After getting fed up with all this, Shake just kills himself. Justified. Shake cuts Meatwad in half for no reason, but now he will suffer the consequences because instead of dying, Meatwad multiplies many times, making Shake's life a living hell. In the future, Shake has gone old, deaf, and blind after the Meatwads won't stop singing, so he decided it would be best if he wasn't alive. Justified because he both caused this, wouldn't stop, and when Farlock left, he decided to stay instead of leave because he's stupid. This one's a bit different because this is about an alternate reality Carl who has hair, and a family. But current day Carl hates that he sold out instead of crashing and burning, so he actively ruins his own life, which drives alternate reality Carl to kill himself. Very depressing, so unjustified. Oh hey look, it's the 100th episode. Technically it's the 50th, but whatever. The gang is being hunted down by the number 100 because he wants to steal their episodes to sell them for syndication. Carl appears just to get his head popped off unjustified. Starting off season 8 with part 2 of a two-parter, Alan. Alan part 2. Alan takes over the world and forces everyone to be good and have a good day. He kills Carl because he's fat, and he kills Frylock for cursing him out. Unjustified for Carl, but justified for Frylock. Shake buys a car with awful credit through a shady creditor called the Creditor. Should have read the fine print. Since he can't pay off his enormous loan, he makes a deal with the creditor to kill his friends to satisfy his bloodlust. So he kills Carl, tried to kill Meatwad, and kills Frylock. But that didn't work in the end because he killed Shake too. Justified death for Shake, but unjustified for Carl and Frylock. Markula decides to go full-on world domination and takes over the world with his Bats army. Frylock discovers that Shake is immune to the vampires one night, so he might be the cure for the vampires. After making a vaccine and trying it out on Carl, it's revealed that it doesn't work, so he's dead. Frylock later realized it was the garlic fragrance that Shake was wearing, so the vampires are dead. But now there's a bear problem. Shake tries to solve this bear problem, but gets eaten instead. Unjustified for Carl, but Shake deserved it. Triangles take over the world. That's it. Carl uses one to try and kill his mom, but the elders core him out. Unjustified. Carl gets scammed by a scam wow into using useless products and hurts himself even further. In the end, Carl gets regenerated with a bone healing shake that turns him into a super bone, and Shake lures him out the window with some bomb ass lasagna and he falls out. He's totally dead. Unjustified. I won't even try to decipher what this episode is about or anything, so to summarize, the gang, they're actually undercover agents, all of them. Meatwad kills Shake because he was faking his cover. Carl chases after Meatwad and Frylock. Frylock tries to double cross Meatwad, but he was one step ahead. So Frylock is dead, dies in a reef. That's the episode. Justified death for both Flint and Frylock. Starting off with season 9, we have Big Bro. Frylock participates in the Big Brother program with Gerald. However, he wasn't really interested in him, he was more interested in his mother, who also piqued the interest for Carl. In the end, Carl won, but he won big. A little too big. Now they're expecting another child. Carl wants to fake his death so he could be free from her. It works, but he's buried alive, and he'll most likely die. Justified for playing with a woman's heart. And I'll be honest, this season has the least amount of deaths of the main cast, so in Totem Pole, Carl tries to invite the gang to see the German thrash metal band Totem Pole. Only Shake joins, but the band uses the both of them to summon a skeleton army. Even though the ending is ambiguous, I feel like they both died here, so unjustified. We start season 10 with muscles. Shake bulks up and becomes a roid monkey. But too much of this roid rage is getting to him, so he's fattened on a farm to lose his muscle. But while there, someone didn't close the gate and coyotes kill Shake. Unjustified. Shake gets hypnotized to deal with his seafood addiction, but Merlot is using him for petty revenge and to have a friend. In the end, Shake relapses and eats some crawfish. Then he got smacked over the head with a golf ball and bleeds out in the pond. Yeah, unjustified. The gang tries to get jobs. Frylock is working as a busboy in a restaurant, while Meatwad and Shake are wannabe hitmen because Carl's cousin needs it to be done. The assassination was a failure, so Meatwad rats out Carl, and the mafia looks up his house. Justified death. Carl buys a storage unit that has magical little elf creature things inside. So Carl proceeds to harvest this land for all it's worth, and after stealing their sunlight, Carl gets attacked by the night wolves, and he is killed. Justified. Shake gets a new job as a disease-spreading maniac. Frylock makes a cure for it, but the blood inside is bound to combust, so he freezes Shake and his supervisor until he can find a cure. He doesn't. Meatwad tries to give him a wet willy as a prank. He got frozen to Shake. In the end, both escape the land of the living when they get eaten by dinosaurs. Shake didn't deserve this, so unjustified, but Meatwad, well, he was... Never have I ever in my life noticed that Meatwad actually rolled away, so no, he didn't die here. To start off season 11 with Mouth Quest. In a promotional spot for Honest Abe Lincoln's Hot Links, Meatwad's mouth gets stolen, so the gang goes on the quest to get it back. They did not retrieve the mouth back, and Honest Abe is disappointed that the commercial was a waste of time, so they sacrifice Meatwad for a more exciting commercial. He got sacrificed, that's not his fault. Unjustified. Carl and Meatwad steal mufflers from cars. When they realize they cut one out of a living bus, they are blackmailed to get him a donor. Frylock catches wind and tries to help, but decided that it would be better if the bus didn't live, so he blew up the bus. However, somehow, Shake got on the bus and was slowly being digested by said bus. If that wasn't going to kill him, Frylock did. Unjustified, because all he wanted to do was just go to the movies with Carl and Meatwad. Frylock shrinks down Carl so he can help him with his honey farm. However, Carl is abusing his power of King Bee, so Frylock puts a stop to it. When the bees realize that Carl was a fake, they kill him. Also, Frylock realized that Shake was the reason why the bees weren't making him honey, so he tells them to kill him too, justified for both. Meatwad makes new friends. However, these friends of his are adult film stars, where the actress Julie is planning on taking his virginity. Well, that's a bit unexpected now, don't you think? Frylock wants to stop this. Carl and Shake, they want to star in it. While on set, a church helicopter tells them to stop, then they bomb them with God's holy weapon. Justified death for Meatwad because he went into this well aware of what he was going to do, unjustified for everyone else. In this episode, the gang gets turned into animals because they pissed in a mall fountain with animals. Everyone stays as an animal except for Frylock, who steals Carl's body. Meatwad was stuck as a hamster and was transferred into a snake enclosure, where he was immediately eaten. I'm counting it, and it's unjustified. Carl's mom is dying, so he decides to run up her credit card. Frylock miraculously heals her from her cancer and reinvigorates her life to peak health. Now she worships the sun with rats. Yes, with her newfound health, she threatens to burn Carl because of all the things he bought with her credit card. He tries to use his family love to win her over, but she still burns him anyway. And Meatwad does the same thing to Shake. Both deaths are justified. Frylock's jewel is dying, and when it goes, he dies with it. Also, it's revealed that Shake also had a jewel, so they're both going to die. Frylock devises a plan to invade Ocean Planet to get a replacement. By the way, Meatwad had a jewel, but he doesn't need it. Regardless, after Shake wasted the mech suit, he decided to go out and distract the clams. But he's allergic to shellfish, so he dies from the allergies and from being eaten. Meatwad returns home, but he leaves the jewel on the planet, so Frylock passes away. Unjustified for both. But that wasn't the finale. This is. Shake found religion and believes in Jimmy, and he believes that he is now immortal. But the answer to immortality is magic shampoo that Frylock bought. So both he and Carl are now immortal because they used it. Crazy, I know. They meet up with Shake, who believes that he's Jimmy now. He's not. A shootout breaks out and Shake gets caught in the crossfire and disintegrates and dies. Unjustified. New season, new episode, new animation quality. Yay, wow. Okay, let's start off with A Quiet Shake, an obvious parody of A Quiet Place. Earth is overran by giant ears who hate loud noises. They get infected and killed by Frylock. The day is saved. However, another alien species invades Earth. But this one, he's more chill. He just hates nerds. Frylock is a nerd, and he spews some knowledge. And old boy, he got eaten up, so he's killed. Yeah, that's justified. Shake becomes a screenplay writer with the help of his AI assistant. Frylock tries to get them out the house because they're annoying, and they're proven to be a nuisance. It doesn't work, so everyone goes off the grid. Shake isn't on board with it. However, Carl, Meatwad, and Frylock found a nice little cabin in the woods, but it turned out to be another robot that crushes and kills them. Yeah, unjustified. Frylock gets a sit-upon exercise machine so that Shake can lose weight. He ends up using it himself and gets yoked. However, the sit-upon machine tells him that Earth will be wiped out by an asteroid and how they'll have to escape on the sit-upon. At first, he was pranked, but in the end it was real, so it's safe to assume that everyone was on Earth is dead or died. Unjustified. And that's it. That's all for the television shows. Now about the movies. Aqua Teen Hunger Force: Movie for theaters. If you think I'm recapping the whole movie, you're severely mistaken. So what happens is that the watermelon drops the bomb that he created everyone. Shocker. After this revelation, he tells everyone that he's telling their mother. Frylock is shocked to find out that they have a mother, which is a giant 9-layer bean burrito. Shake doesn't take this news very well, so he jumps out the window. He's presumed dead. Also, Dr. Weird cut up Carl and used his muscles to make a muscle suit. Even though he is disemboweled, he is still alive. But he doesn't make an appearance after this scene, so he's either dead or barely alive. Either way, unjustified. Plantasm. Same thing, different movie. The gang stops the evil Amazon CEO Neil. Well, I wouldn't say stop, they just told him to stop and he did. But his workers killed him. Anyway, the plant invasion is over, but the Earth is frozen over. So what will they do for food? Oh well, we should have seen this coming. But when Markula bit Shake, he turned him into a vampire. So now he's technically undead. Either way, unjustified for Shake and Meatwad, but kind of justified for Frolic because he helped Neil get this far. Aqua Teen Hunger Force Ninja Pro Amp Golf. Shake wins the golf tournament, but he is crushed by Ultra Mega Chicken and died. Unjustified. Nope, no, we are not done yet. We still have Aqua dunked with the dumbest doll of all. Happy time Harry returns as he believes that he might actually be a Highlander. So Shake throws him on the ground and he explodes. Harry is dead. The new doll asks Meatwad what's with everything exploding, all these exploding items, so he demonstrates by throwing objects in the house and yes, they explode. That's when he tries to pick up Shake and do the same thing, and Frolic even helps, and Shake explodes, and yeah, he's dead unjustified. And just like that, that's the video, and that's every single death in Aqua Teen Hunger Force, with a total of 102 deaths. Now I'm going to cover some of the deaths that didn't count. In Party All the Time, Shake technically did die when he got bitten by the scorpion, but he's alive next scene, doesn't matter. And in the final episode of Season 6, everyone technically dies, because the water was just fire. And Carl decided to take a swim in this pool with dynamite, and one explosion happened and New Jersey's gone, but the episode is just, no. Now, for the character who has the least amount of deaths, it goes to Frylock. It's a given considering that he's a smart one, so avoiding deaths should be easy for him. And finally, the character with the most amount of justified deaths goes to, of course, Master Shake. I mean, yeah, he is an asshole from time to time, and his actions do deserve some consequences, severe consequences, so it only makes sense that all of his deaths are justified. And finally, the character with the most amount of unjustified deaths is Carl. It's a given considering that most of his deaths are just used to advance the plot. Sometimes he just dies for the sake of it, sometimes he just dies because of the Aqua Teen's actions. So yeah, the person who dies the most is Carl. Fucked up how they do him. What, did you expect an outro for all this? Get lost.
Get some for the Aqua Teen.